What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Turn the Jets podcast. I'm your host, Will Parkinson, at WillPod11 on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all 32 pod, TOJ Talks. Everyone knows the deal there. What a glorious fucking Sunday to watch the New York Jets poop themselves in the 425 window against the Arizona Cardinals, 31-6. Some have called it rock bottom. I'd probably say it's just another Sunday. But listen, yesterday was horrible. No question about it. Not many redeeming qualities to take away from yesterday's performance. And look, frankly, it's a real shame. The fight and resolve, I would say they showed on Thursday night, 10 days ago, beating a good Houston team. Injuries aside, like Garrett had one of the catches, probably the catch of the year, and Aaron and Devontae seemed to figure it out. Rodgers 3 touchdowns, looked awesome. The defense, Reddick, McDonald, Quinnen, Eaton. And then to see what happened, on Sunday, where I'll get the offensive side out of the way because the defense is much more what I want to talk about. The offense wasn't bad. Rodgers wasn't horrible, but he wasn't good yesterday by no means. And I don't know, wasn't seeing it well. I was taking a lot of the short stuff, and then just missing some reads. It felt like couldn't hit the big play. Devontae was not good yesterday. Rodgers was not good yesterday. The play calling in the red zone was horrendous. Between the 20s, the Jets were great. They moved the football up and down. First drive in the red zone, both back-to-back times. Couldn't punch it in. No, just refused to use Breece Hall in the red zone. Just won't do it. Let's just do everything we can to make it harder on ourselves. Get down the red zone multiple other times. Can't figure it out. So, yeah, the offense, we'll just leave it at, not a good effort. 6 points it's not good enough. Doesn't matter if you move the football, you got to score. And we've seen that a lot this year. I feel like it at times where there's just always one thing off on offense, generally speaking, right now, and it just can't just get it right, Now to the defense. This is a unit that has carried this organization on their back the last almost 36 months at this point, and really outside of Carl Lawson in 2021, really avoided major injury. And there's been an injury regression for sure. CJ Mosley's basically not been able to play all year. Michael Carter's been really banged up, badly. And Sauce and Reed have gone through their things. Chuck Clark has missed, obviously, a bunch of time. Tony Adams missed time. Ashton Davis missed time. Reddick obviously wasn't here. Jermaine Johnson obviously tears the Achilles week 2. All that stuff's fair, right? The talent, just from an injury perspective, they've had bad injury luck for sure. Joe Douglas gutted this defensive line like a fucking butcher, and for no reason, actually at all. Wouldn't pay Bryce Huff. We've been over it a million times. Nice strip sack for Bryce Huff yesterday. Great job, Bryce. Great friend of the pod. So good job. Just wouldn't pay him early. Wouldn't pay him the year before. We know the deal. Then wouldn't trade him. Great job. JFM, heart and soul, probably of this defense, to be honest with you. Toughest dude on that defensive line. Brought a different type of energy. Again, I always talk about one of my favorite podcasts I've ever had. One of the realest dudes you'll meet. Doing pretty well in Denver. For half the salary he was going to play for here in New York. Just had to get that 2025 28th round pick for JFM. Because you never know. Michael Clemens, the worst starting defensive lineman in the NFL on all 32 teams, just have to keep running him out there. Wait, there's another zone read Michael Clemens didn't see coming. It's tough. Had to pay Javon Kinlaw, who, he's by all accounts a good dude and had been through a lot, and former first rounder, and had a nice year by his standards after being a bust the first couple of years through injury. But he plays very selfish, and it's not. Everyone's so mad about Reddick might chase sacks. Javon Kinlaw chases TFLs, and 1 or 2 times a game it happens. And then the rest of the time, he exposes a massive hole in their run game, and teams run right by him. Quinnen Williams has been up and down all year. He'd been playing really good ball of recent. Yesterday was basically a total non-factor. Had one or two nice plays, but overall not much. McDonald had his worst game of the year, which we kind of figured was going to happen against a power run team like the Cardinals. And when you get a Kyler Murray playing his ass off, the Cardinals pedestrian offensive line, just was better than you. And again, it comes down to Reddick was kind of a non-factor yesterday. Just again, not the Reddick and Will McDonald games, which is why having a Quentin Jefferson last year, having a Jermaine Johnson, obviously nothing the Jets could do about that, but JFM, Bryce Huff, just throwing tons of bodies at you, super aggressive. The talent erosion is quite clear up front. And then, I know Jamie Sherwood got a lot of credit yesterday. I actually didn't think he was particularly great. Quincy Williams, some missed tackles, has the one big play of the game, but is so ready just to give his, crazy celebration. I don't know. The ball's on the ground there. I mean, I don't know if he would have been able to make a play, but it would have been nice to see him try to go dive on the football. Defense wasn't good yesterday. And by not good, I mean they were horrible. And I'll say this about Sauce. He's still a great player. I'm not saying he's not a good player by any means. He is a two-time All-Pro in his first 2 years. He has been pretty good in coverage this year, for what it's worth. It's not like he's getting torched and whatever. But handsy for sure. The tackling's been a problem all year. I don't know why I don't think we have to skate around it. Olbrich said it himself. Sauce has said it himself. Tackling's not been good. My biggest issue with the Trey McBride play is that to say it's not, you can tell every time you watch a Jets game this year. There's one play or two plays, or it's a sequence or set of plays, right? Denver, it's the first and goal from the 1. Buffalo, it's the first and goal from the 2, because Breece Hall just couldn't make Taylor Rapp miss. It's the San Francisco game, probably the Breece fumble. It just totally changed the game. It felt like the Jets just couldn't get momentum back. That's not necessarily true. Maybe it's not that play, but whatever. You get my point. It's the Minnesota game. It's the they get the ball back and they just can't. We can go on and on. New England game, it's the punt return. Did Sauce's play lose them the football game? Obviously not. Did Sauce do anything egregiously bad on that play? No, he didn't. He was in the right position. Hit him. Did everything right up until, for some reason, instead of going low on a tight end, as soon as he caught the ball, going low, sticking your shoulder pad in there, head across the ball, decides to try to Kurt Angle suplex him. Trey McBride's 255, 260. Not sure what the fuck you're doing, to be honest with you. And I love Sauce. I'm a huge Sauce guy. Got a lot of love for him. He's, every interaction I've had with him has been great. I just don't know what was were you going to, did you think you were going to suplex him? I don't get it. And instead of just trying to hold him up to have the people rally the football, trying to take out the legs, Trey McBride rightfully tosses Sauce off him, hurdles 8 other guys, and then the game was over. And then one glimmer of hope started the second half. Defense has been mostly bad, but hey, they got to stop and only gave up 3 to end the half. Go down, great offensive drive again. Looks good. Get in the red zone, Rodgers strip sack on 4th down because Devontae drops one on 3rd down. Tough catch, but Devontae's a Hall of Famer. You expect him to make that play, and that was all she wrote. Obviously, the rest of the game was just missed tackle after missed tackle. The Jets offense looking bad. Digress to Xavier Gibson. Malachi Corley basically being irrelevant. Had the one nice 3rd down catch and then, dropped one. And Devontae and, they get a 25-yard play to Tyler Conklin. Penalty. Garrett Wilson's being efficient, but he's 6 targets. Makes no sense. Yesterday's performance, and this will be only a 15-minute episode. Again, I'll have a much more in-depth, episode midweek, kind of do an autopsy of where we're at, through 10 weeks here. Still got 7 to go. The 2 things that are crazy yesterday is the Jets come in, again, 10 days off, finally getting healthier. Everything around them's breaking their way. energy levels felt high all week. Energy levels felt high pregame. They come out, get punched in the mouth on the first drive, and it's like, what? Like it, and it's like, couldn't recover. And then after the game, it's energy's bad, and we're playing like trash. And I talked about that to start the episode. Like, I get it, but I just can't get over, like, they're so poorly coached on both sides of the football. Special teams is very poorly coached. And the proof's in the pudding. They go up against a better staff and they get cooked. And this is a good roster. This is not a good team. And it's a shame. It really is a shame to say that. Again, I talked about it. I truly think this team could be the 2024 Mets in terms of next year. 2025 Jets emulating 2024 Mets, because that the current Jets team is a lot like the 2023 Mets. All these high expectations, but managers lost. GMs had lost cause, and the ownerships. It was just a mess. And you hope, and we'll talk about that more midweek. What's the plan here? I still think the most realistic thing is that the Jets run it back with Rodgers one more year, and they draft a quarterback who sits behind him. And, they'll 80% of the roster will be back. They'll transition a few of the older guys. They'll probably cut a few guys, and, try to bring in some more young talent. The new GM will try to start shaping the roster with his guys. But, try to be competitive, for year one, and then kind of fully gut kind of that older regime after 25, and, ride along with some of the young core and guys they start to bring in. Not even saying that's right. That's probably the most realistic. Yesterday was in this season overall, but yesterday was the prime example of why a leader of men, a adult in the room, this is my fucking locker room, this is my fucking organization, and you're going to respect what I have to say, and you're going to play disciplined, good football. We are not going to beat ourselves. Head coach needs to be in this building, whether it's head coach, GM, director of football operations. I literally don't give a shit. Jeff Ulbricht's a good dude. He's a good football coach. He's in a whirlwind of a situation. It's obviously not happening. All locker rooms should be player-led. Teams need to be led from the front with their coach. And that's where the Jets have failed. There doesn't need to be revisionist history. Zach Wilson was horrible here. Robert Saleh was horrible here. Like, we don't need to do this whole, like, see how much better it was with Zach? It wasn't better. It was horrible. It was the most unenjoyable football I've ever watched in my life. This is unenjoyable because there was real expectations. There was real confidence that they finally kind of figured it out with this roster. And Rodgers, you just don't know. Again, you don't know what you get week to week. Some weeks he's a top 10 quarterback. Some weeks he's a top 35 quarterback. Like, it's unfortunate, the way it is. But I don't know. If Mike Vrabel's this team's coach from week one, they're probably 6-4, 7-3. They probably aren't beating themselves. They're probably having guys held accountable. I'll talk more about the 2024 Mets kind of example, just because I think it is something you kind of have to hope for at this point, because the Jets aren't realistically going 6-1 the next 7. They'll probably go somewhere 4-3, 3-4, finish between 6 and 8 wins. It depends on how Rodgers looks, I guess, kind of going forward, and some of the young guys, and who you pay, who you don't pay, how you run this thing back, what Woody and Chris decide to do. Joe Douglas is gone. It's been obvious for a while. Again, he has been checked out for a while. And I know Woody's handicapped him a little bit and kind of taken over the reins, but Joe's been pretty checked out, clearly. And most of his staff will be gone. I'd love to retain some of the defensive staff. I doubt it'll happen, but the Jets just have to hope going forward that if they kind of do the kind of not totally gut the thing, that you get guys that perform back to their level. Again, Sauce not having a Sauce type of year. Quincy's have been good at times, but, not as good as last year, or Quinnen's been good, not as good as, kind of his career's trajectory. Jermaine coming back, and, you hope you get some of those pieces, and Michael Carter's healthy, and offensively Garrett's himself for 17, and Brees and all those different things, and whatever. That's a conversation for another day. But this team badly needs an adult in the room. And for the rest of the year, they might lose every game. They might win every game. I have no idea. None of us do. It's the Jets, right? We have no idea. Energy cannot continue to be a problem. You might get out executed, out coached, out talent. That's all. I could deal with that, to be honest with you. I can't deal with the lack of effort or the energy or any of that cliche terms. Enough. That stuff can't continue to happen. So I'll have more midweek, and we'll start to really dive into, I guess, a little bit more what happened, but kind of what it's going to look like going forward. Again, maybe how you quote unquote rebuild this thing, some head coaching stuff, and I'll dig more into it. But overall, man, like yesterday sucked. Everyone's going to be frustrated. I get it. I don't blame anybody. I'm more frustrated than anybody, right? Like I live in, I live and die with this thing. So, lastly, probably best for some of the players to stay off socials. I know it's tough. I had to do it myself yesterday. I was getting so flustered during the game, and I was like, dude, I got to put my phone down. Sauce, Quincy, great players, all pros, really good dudes. It's not worth it. Getting into it with the fans it never goes well, especially in this market. Julius Randle, great player. By all accounts, great dude. Just used to get into it with the fans. It never went well. Giancarlo Stanton, prime example. Never gets into it with the fans. Always accepts accountability. Not that Sauce and Quincy aren't accountable. I think they are, but you miss a tackle. Ignore it. Like it's not worth it. And yeah, it's been tough, but we'll talk to everybody midweek. Appreciate everybody for listening. Happy Veterans Day to all those who served our great country. Thank you for your service. Not the Larry David. Thank you for your service. Genuinely, thank you. Appreciate everybody for listening. Hopefully, can have more positive episodes in the future. But for right fucking now, here we are, 3-7, and just an utter disappointment out in Arizona. We'll talk to everybody midweek. Thank you.